Hello friends, welcome to Bookku. Today, we're going to talk about The Organized Mind by Daniel Levitin. Right in the middle of the city, there was an old library with wooden cupboards. The atmosphere, there was very peaceful, filled with the scent of books and the soft ticking of an old clock on the wall. A 34-year-old man named Arian used to visit this library, stealing a few moments away from his hectic daily routine. Arian was an IT professional, and every day of his life was tangled in screens, codes, and emails. That day, he pulled a book from a shelf titled The Organized Mind. Thinking straight in the age of information overload, the title immediately drew him in. He felt this book might help him solve some of his own confusions. As soon as he began reading the first chapter, he felt like it was written about his own life. The very first page boldly said, "Understand the limits of your attentional system." Arian thought, what is this attentional system? But as he kept reading, his eyes began to open. Author Daniel Levitin explained that our brain cannot pay attention to everything at once. Arian read, "Your brain has a limited capacity to focus, and multitasking is not as productive as people think it is." He took a deep breath. He remembered how at work he would constantly juggle 3 or 4 tasks at once, reading emails on one side, talking to a client on a call, and at the same time trying to write code. Have I been doing it wrong all this time? He asked himself. He kept reading. The book said every time our brain switches from one task to another, it incurs a cognitive cost. This means that every time Arian left coding to respond to an email, his brain lost some energy and time in the process of switching. He recalled how many mistakes he had made last week while working on a project. He thought he was being efficient, but in reality, he was just getting distracted. Arian closed the book and leaned back in his chair with his eyes shut. The peaceful atmosphere of the library made him reflect deeply. He wondered, is my life really being ruined by information overload? He started recalling his college days when he had to focus on just one thing at a time, whether it was studying, playing cricket, or chatting with friends. Life had now become so complicated that he couldn't focus on a single thing even for a moment. He opened the book again. The author suggested a practical strategy. Batch similar tasks together to minimize the cost of task switching. Arian thought, maybe I should do the same. He made a mental plan. From now on, he would check emails only twice a day and focus the rest of the time solely on coding. He looked at his watch, library closing time, but instead of putting the book back on the shelf, he issued it from the library. He felt that if he didn't finish the book, something would remain incomplete. When he reached home, he opened the book again. It said that our brain works better with organized systems. He immediately gathered all the scattered papers, pens, and old notes on his desk into one place. He reorganized all the folders on his computer properly. The next day, he implemented his new plan at the office. After checking emails first thing in the morning, he started coding with full focus. He was surprised at how quickly and accurately he was finishing his tasks. Arian's day felt more peaceful and productive than ever before. He realized that when he focused on one task at a time, not only did his work improve, but he also felt happier. That evening, before turning to the next chapter, he reflected on his experience. He realized the book wasn't just offering information, it was becoming a tool for transforming his life. He thought, if just one chapter could change my perspective so much, what would the whole book do? The story wasn't over yet. Big changes were still on the way in Arian's life. He smiled and thought, maybe this book won't just organize my mind, but my entire life. The next evening, Arian came home feeling tired, but a new hope had taken root inside him. The first chapter of the book had made him think deeply. He realized that managing life wasn't just about working hard, it was also about thinking and acting the right way. As soon as he sat in his chair, he picked up the book and opened the second chapter, Organize External Environments to Aid Memory. He read it slowly. Arian paused and wondered, external environments? What does that mean? But as he continued reading, everything started making sense. The author wrote that our brain has limited capacity, and trying to remember everything is not only exhausting, but also unnecessary. Arian remembered the morning last week when he was late for work and turned the entire house upside down looking for his keys. If you enjoy our free summaries, you can subscribe to our channel. Now back to the summary. Arian said to himself, "I'm doing exactly what this book warns against." The author had advised creating systems for small things. For example, having a fixed place for keys and glasses. This way, the brain doesn't waste time trying to remember them repeatedly. Arian read in the book, writing down tasks and ideas rather than trying to remember them helps declutter the mind and enhances focus. That means I don't have to rely only on memory, he thought. He closed the book and began scanning his room. His desk had piles of papers, scattered pens, and a phone charger lying around. He smiled, realizing the book was right. His mind was getting cluttered because his surroundings were. He immediately started cleaning his desk, organizing papers into folders, putting pens in a pen holder, and placing the charger where it belonged. Then he found a small tray for his keys and decided he would always keep them there from now on. Arian felt a surprising sense of calm from these small actions. He decided that starting tomorrow, he would reorganize his workspace at the office too. But the book wasn't just about organizing things. The author also explained how writing is a powerful tool. Instead of keeping everything in the mind, writing things down eases the pressure on memory. Arian remembered how, in college, he used to take notes and keep a record of everything. Now, he had forgotten that habit. He picked up his notebook and listed all the small and big tasks he had to do the next day, doing that made his mind feel clear and light. The next day at work, he followed through. He kept his desk clean and made a to-do list on his computer. In the first hour of the day, he replied to all his emails and then started working on his coding project. He felt his productivity increasing. While returning home in the evening, he thought, is all this really because of just one book? He began to feel he was making a big change in his life. That night, he opened the book again. The author had mentioned another important point. Our memory is deeply influenced by our environment. If our surroundings are cluttered, when things around us are scattered, our mind feels the same. Arian closed the book and started looking around his house. He realized that it wasn't just his desk, but the entire house was demanding reorganization. He decided that he would plan to clean and organize his home over the weekend. He was just as influenced by the second chapter of the book as he was by the first. He began to feel that if he applied all the lessons from this book in his life, he might not remain the same person he was today. His thoughts and habits would completely change. Arian had started enjoying spending every night with this book. He was convinced that this wasn't just a book, but a guide for him. Arian's daily routine had slowly started to change. Earlier, he would begin every morning reluctantly and with anxiety, but now there was a strange calmness and excitement in his mornings. Following the advice from the organized mind, he had begun organizing his belongings and simplifying his life. But he knew the journey was still long. That evening, after returning from work, as per his habit, he picked up the book. The third chapter was Prioritize Tasks Effectively. It was like a bell rang in Arian's mind. He said to himself, "This is my biggest problem. I never understand what to do first and what to leave for later." While reading, he understood that our energy and decision-making capacity throughout the day are limited. Every time we make a small or big decision, it consumes our mental energy. The author called this decision fatigue. As the day progresses, our ability to make decisions weakens. Arian immediately thought of his day. As soon as he reached the office in the morning, he would get tangled in small matters. Which email to reply to first, what task to tackle first, or what to eat for lunch. In the process of making such small decisions, his major and important work often got delayed. The author had suggested that each day should begin with the most important task. Arian remembered the story where a professor explained to students about filling a jar with rocks, pebbles, and sand. If you fill the jar with sand and pebbles first, there's no space left for the big rocks. But If you place the big rocks first, everything else fits around them. Arian thought, I must choose the big rocks of my day first. He carefully read the suggestions in the book. The author had written that all tasks should be divided into 4 categories. 1. Important and urgent. Tasks that must be done immediately. 2. Important but not time-sensitive, meaningful but not urgent. 3. Not important but urgent, trivial things that demand immediate attention. 4. Not important and not urgent, tasks that can be ignored. Arian took out his notebook and started organizing. For example, replying to every small email instantly or planning meetings, he categorized them. The next morning, he tried his new strategy. As soon as he reached the office, he looked at his list and started with the most important and urgent task. It was a crucial coding project that had been stuck for a few days. He ignored emails and everything else and focused solely on that project for 2 hours. After 2 hours, he felt refreshed. This really works, he said to himself. He realized that completing the hardest and most necessary task first made him feel more relaxed for everything else. In the evening, when he reached home, he reviewed his progress for the day. He noticed that when we let go of small and unnecessary decisions, our minds open up for bigger thoughts and better work. That night, while reading the book, he understood another important thing. The author said that to avoid frequent task switching, we must allocate our time and energy wisely. For example, instead of checking emails every 10 minutes, fix 1 or 2 times in the day for it. Arian made a new rule for the next day. He would check emails only at 10 a.m. and again at 4 p.m. The rest of the time, he would focus on his main work. He felt that this small change had already boosted his productivity to the next level. Gradually, a pattern started forming in Arian's life. Each day began with the most important task, followed by others. He noticed that this change not only improved his work, but also brought back his mental peace. Arian now understood that improving life doesn't mean working on everything. It means identifying what truly matters and focusing your energy on that. He realized that prioritized tasks effectively wasn't just a chapter, it was a way of living. Arian was convinced that this book was written to change his life. Smiling, he closed the book and thought, there are still more lessons to come. Let's see what new things I'll learn next. Arian was now eager to make every new chapter of the book a part of his life. The first 3 chapters had taught him that every moment of his life could be improved in a planned way. He felt the book wasn't just changing how he worked, but also how he thought, and even his relationship with himself. That night, he opened the 4th chapter. Embrace the power of lists. Just reading the title made him happy. He thought to himself, lists? I used to do this in school. When did I stop? As he began reading, one line struck him. Creating lists reduces anxiety. This line touched his heart. He immediately remembered how every night before sleeping, thinking about the next day's tasks would ruin his sleep. He'd keep wondering, have I remembered everything? Will I forget something? The author explained that when we write our thoughts on paper, our mind feels lighter. Lists reduce the load on our brain and work like a roadmap. Arian understood that making lists isn't just a work method, it's a way to attain mental peace. Arian quickly picked up his notebook. He made a new list. 1. Important tasks for the office the next day. 2. Things that had been pending for weeks. 3. Small personal chores like buying groceries or calling a friend. As soon as he made the list, he felt an unexpected calmness. The things that were troubling him just moments ago were now laid out clearly. He understood that when things become clear, anxiety automatically decreases. The next morning, Arian read his list first thing and completed the most important tasks in the first hour. He saw that lists helped guide his thinking in the right direction. Whenever his mind wandered, he returned to the list to see what to do next. On his way home that evening, sitting on the bus, he looked at his list and realized he had accomplished almost everything. A contented smile appeared on his face. He thought, if I adopt this habit permanently, my life could become so much easier. That night, he reread the part of the book where the author said that lists aren't just for small daily tasks, but also for big dreams and goals. He thought, I'll make a list of my life's big dreams too. Arian opened his notebook and began writing. 1. Get a promotion in my career within the next year. 2. Cultivate a habit of reading one new book every month. 3. Take his parents abroad once. 4. Focus on personal health and start going to the gym. Once he completed the list, his dreams started to feel more real. It felt like achieving them wasn't difficult anymore because he had put them into words. Just make one list and see how your whole day changes, Adifier said laughingly. Arian felt that he was not only changing his life, but also inspiring others. That night, he glanced at the next chapter of the book. He knew the next lesson would make his life even better. But this time, as he closed the book, he thought, the biggest lesson today was that lists aren't just a simple habit, they are a tool to make life easier and happier. Arian now felt connected to every word of the book. Smiling, he thought, this is just the beginning. Arian was now eager to make each new chapter a part of his life. He felt that the organized mind was not only helping him become better, but also transforming the way he thought. Every chapter brought a new mirror in which he could see himself and his habits clearly. That evening, when he picked up the book, the next chapter was Recognize and Manage Shadow Work. The title sounded mysterious. He thought, asterisk shadow work? What is that? Asterisk, but as soon as he started reading, he began to understand what the author was talking about. The author explained that shadow work consists of tasks that usually go unnoticed and for which we are not paid. The small jobs that drain our time and energy throughout the day. Arian realized how much of his life was being taken up by shadow work. He immediately thought of his daily routine. Checking emails first thing in the morning, looking at social media notifications, paying bills, tracking online orders, or scheduling meetings for work. These tasks seemed small, but were actually draining his mental energy and wasting a lot of time. The author said that recognizing and managing shadow work is essential. Arian thought, if I manage these small tasks wisely, I'll save so much time and energy. He read another line. Shadow work is not inherently bad, but when unmanaged, it becomes a burden. He asked himself, have I ever thought about how many times a day I get caught up in these unnecessary tasks? He immediately pulled out his notebook and made a list of his shadow work. 1. Scrolling social media for half an hour after waking up. 2. Reading unnecessary emails after reaching office. 3. Tidying up scattered items on his desk several times a day. 4. Browsing shopping offers in the evening. 5. Doing small household chores without a plan. As soon as he made this list, Arian understood how these little tasks were silently bringing major changes in his life. These activities were mentally exhausting him without him even realizing it. The next day, he made a new strategy to manage shadow work. He decided to meditate in the morning instead of scrolling social media, check emails only twice a day, and browse shopping offers only on weekends at a fixed time. He noticed that this small change had an immediate effect. He had more time, and his energy remained high throughout the day. He realized how crucial it is to identify and systematize shadow work. That evening, he talked to his friend Adifier about it. He said, half the things we do in a day are things we neither need nor realize the importance of. That's shadow work, and now I've learned how to manage it. Adifier asked in surprise, how? Arian smiled and replied, just make small changes. First, identify the shadow work in your day, then either delegate it or schedule a fixed time for it. Objects not only save time, but also reduce frustration, Arya said to herself. Now, I will completely adopt this rule. It's not just a habit, but a way to simplify life. She closed the book and smiled, thinking there is still so much to learn. What a fun journey this is. So friends, this was our book summary for today. If this summary gave you that aha moment or helped shift your mindset even a little, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow and reach more curious minds like yours. Got a takeaway or favorite part from this book? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and keep the conversation going. And if you're someone who loves turning pages into progress, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon so you never miss a powerful book breakdown like this. Thanks for watching, keep learning, and remember, small steps beat perfect plans. Always.